my halo. That's my halo.
Yeah,
Okay, that's
we
my
don't want to
halo.
fool anybody. We don't want to fool any.
Okay, you wouldn't be fooling them. They need to. That's my halo.
Yeah,
Okay, that's
we
my
don't want to
halo.
fool anybody. Do you have two devices on? Because you're echoing.
Okay. You wouldn't be fooling them. Okay, can you? Is this better?
Yeah, I was gonna say you either had to turn one down or hang up on one.
Well, it's the YouTube. So the YouTube was playing in the background, and the YouTube was with the sound. So I don't know if Monet is I'm sorry, Miss Trustee or Alderman Forte is coming on. I did reach out to. I did finally talk to her daughter, and her daughter said that she's going to try to get her on, but I got no confirmation. Mr. Decker, how are you today?
I am fabulous.
Outstanding.
Let me turn my TV down here.
You said what?
I was waiting for you to message me, say there's no show because it's Monday Night Football, but then again, it's just the Bears. So,
Listen, it could have been worse. I'm a Lions fan, remember?
I'm
Yeah.
sorry for that.
Yeah. Too soon, Jason. Too soon. But we had a tough day at the office yesterday. I actually thought that we were going to be able to do something with the Cowboys, but I guess we did nothing.
Yeah, I briefly heard the score on the radio when I was driving around today. I hit 9 polling places twice. It was a long day.
So early voting started today. Let me just go ahead and give my introduction. Hey, if you're just joining, welcome to Tea and Conversation with Trustee Adam Winston. Hopefully you're out there. You're going to join us so we can have casual conversation. I'd like to talk about the casino today. I'd like to even have some follow up on this trucking, the trucking stop that was coming. It was a very big deal last week. So I'd like to follow up a little bit on some of those topics. So if you're just joining, welcome to Tea and Conversation. This is our Monday conversation with Trustee Adam Winston. Jason, what did you think? Well, first thing, let's start. Today's the first day of early voting, right?
Yeah, I guess technically that's what they consider. I know the courthouse is opened last Wednesday. So, I mean, and mail-in's been going on, I think, for 2.5, 3 weeks now. So, I mean, election month started however many weeks ago. But yes, today was the unofficial, whatever early voting suburban places opened.
So how are you feeling? Did you make your rounds today? Did you get a chance to see how it was? I mean, what was the turnout like?
Some were very low. I didn't spend much time there because there wasn't much traffic, and then others, there was a decent amount. And all in all, I think it was a great day. It was I got a lot done. Let's put it that way.
Right. Well, I'm not going to say good luck because I don't believe in luck, first thing for starters. But what I do know is that you have to be out there, right? And so if you're not out there, during early voting time, somebody else will be out there, and they will be stealing your thunder. So hopefully you got plenty of people at the polling places. What's the energy out there like?
I can't really come up with the word for it. I guess just mellow. It didn't really seem. It was. I got to say this: the few places I went were there. I mean, everywhere I went, there was somebody else there. But it's very interesting to see like how other people. I mean, it's politics. It's Cook County, and this and that. But I'm literally talking to people, and there's other people from the opposition basically yelling and interrupting my conversation with people, and I just kind of laughed because you're doing that right in front of this person that I'm, like, what does that say about you? And you're giving the rest of your circle a bad name. I mean, I understand it's like I said, it's politics, it's Cook County, but there's a level of professionalism that people need to have, in the public eye.
You're right. Well, you know what? It's so interesting, and Trustee Matt, I'm going to ask you to join in because I think I've expressed some of my thoughts now. And my heart goes out. First thing I want to do is my heart goes out to Trustee Shorter over there in Matson. I think he lost one of his relatives over the weekend or last week. But I have to say, I was just thinking that, how do we make certain? And I don't know, I'm just going to go out there and I'm trying to toe the line. So if you hear me stumbling over words, it's because I'm trying not to pick any fights. Okay. But at some point we got to pick some fights, right? And one of the fights that I think that we got to pick is how do we keep, and I'm going to say this, the criminal element out of politics. Why do I feel that it's almost like politicians are now, they're the latest, they're criminals reinvented? Trustee Matz, are you able to hear me? You said that I'm breaking up. Are you able to hear me okay?
Yeah, you were kind of pixelating. I don't know if your Wi-Fi isn't on a strong.
Listen, I got strong Wi-Fi. Don't even try, okay? Nice try, okay? My Wi-Fi is on point. But what I'm just saying, I'm seeing more and more people that, I've always thought that if you, and again, I'm a big fan of Boardwalk, right? But I always thought that when you get into politics, it's the guy who's above, who believes in the law, right? And I'm not getting that sense anymore, Mr. Deckard or Trustee Matz. I just feel like anybody gets into politics. It's no longer the squeaky clean kid, right, that gets into politics. I'm looking at, I don't know if you recently saw this, Mr. Deckard, the young man who got kicked off of the board over in Salt Village. He got kicked off of the board because he had a felony. Did you see this story over the weekend? He got kicked off of the board for having a felony. And then I know other people that have felonies that remain on the board. So has politicians, are we now the new criminals? Are we the criminal 2.0s?
Well, I'll try to keep it short, but I hear the word corruption thrown around a lot. And to me, corruption is when you break the rules or break the law. And a lot of what's going on in the Southland isn't necessarily corruption. It's nepotism, it's cronyism, it's shady tactics, but none of it's actually like against the rules or, it's just sadly, there are loopholes. There's ways they bend the rules, but not enough to actually get in trouble. And yeah, don't get me started on the felonies sitting on our felons sitting on boards, because I, for one, have gotten at least one nasty phone call simply for making a Facebook comment asking a question.
Well,
what board was it? A school board or the village board?
This is a village board, and so here's my thought. And again, if you're just joining, welcome to Tea and Conversation. I am looking at you out there in the atmosphere, even if you're not on Zoom. I see you on Facebook, and I do see you on YouTube. But join the conversation if you want to join it right here on Facebook. But all I'm suggesting is it just seems to me that more and more of the people that, and again, this is not to say that, and Trustee Matz, maybe you can chime in here. If you have a felony, do or should you be allowed to run for office? And how should this, are some felonies not created equal, right? Like, what is your thoughts on this?
So it's a melting pot, and it takes everybody experiences to make the world go around. Do we say the same for our pastors? We have pastors who are world renowned and respected that have a felony, right? So do we ostracize them? Say, no, you can't lead a flock. What makes them great, and I'm using great in quotes, is that you are relatable. Everybody have a road to redemption, right? So if you paid your debt to society and you're still able to come back and be a part of the process because you saw the underworld, you saw that side of it. Now you want to be squeaky clean, and you want to show the world that there is a road to redemption. We just have to follow it. So I'm on the fence on that one, but here's the radical idea, and I can't take the credit for it. Why don't we just have one day of voting, just one day, and that day is a holiday. So everybody's off that day to go and vote. Now that might eliminate some of this shenanigans that's going on out there. So I'm just putting that out there.
And I appreciate that, but the rebuttal to that, Trustee Matz, is that if you've robbed, you can't work at a bank, right? I mean, if I was caught as a thief, I can't work as a cashier in some places, right? If you know, so there are occupations where once you violate that particular act, that you're no longer able to work in those particular type of professions. Now, it doesn't mean that there's no road to redemption, but I guess my caution, especially in local politics. Now, I can see on the grander scale, right? If you're running for Congress, you're running for state senate, more people have a bite at that apple, right? But when you're, who the hell knows where, Mr. Decker, you live in Midlothian. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know nobody out there with you. Okay, so and this is where I think that law, or who the law is trying to protect, there's not enough traction, and that's why we do shows like Tea and Conversation. There's not enough traction where we even know who these politicians are, right? And if you are someone who has a troubled background and you ran for office, you know, there's no news blitz, right? There's no paper. Hell, Trustee Match, you've been a trustee before. Were you in the paper when you won? Okay. Well, when you won, when you were appointed to the seat, was there any balloons? Nobody knew, nobody cared. I'm gonna be honest with you, except a couple of people around you. But what I'm saying is that part of the reason why they don't want, or they frown against people with troubled past in smaller elections like local elections? Because how do you manage that? Go ahead, Mr. Decker.
Real quick, they justify it by saying that corruption lies on a local level. So that's why in the state of Illinois, a felon can run for any office other than local, municipal, school board, library board, and park district. You can run for township, you can run for county, you can run for state senate, you can run for state rep, you can run for governor, you can run for U.S. Senate, you can run for U.S. House of Representatives. But according to the law and the research I've done, it's because they say corruption lies on the local level. That's where people can skim off the, like you said, on a grander scheme, as much as there's more money involved and the budgets are higher, it's hard to actually get your hands on it. Whereas on a local level, money exchanges hands, very easily. And we've seen this happen in numerous suburbs where, one bad administration has destroyed a town. That's like Harvey. People say Harvey, that's all it took was one bad administration making bad deals. And some people label it corruption, but when the mayor convinces 3 of the board members to vote his way, it's not illegal. They voted on it.
What about like Cicero, right? I mean, there was a time like communities like Cicero, they were riddled with essentially corruption, right?
How about Dixon? All the Queen's horses.
Absolutely.
It took one lady for years that took the town down for
Absolutely.
years.
Absolutely. So when I one of these weeks, that's one of our shows, Trustee Match. We should air that for the show. So maybe one of these shows that we could do that, because it may be enlightening for some of the people, and we can narrate it while the show is playing in the background. That would be a very good show. But my thoughts are, it's that nobody's watching those small municipalities. Okay. And although I do believe that there should be a road to redemption, I am very concerned about that element in local elections. And I think, and this is just my hypothesis, okay, that there are more criminal elements in these local elections than we even appreciate. Mr. Decker, what did you think?
Yeah, you can't really say. I don't like to speculate or accuse people without proof, but we've seen it in the past. We know that that's where it happens, and again, because you are directly involved. Whereas if you're a state senator, you got so many people watching you and so many other people involved. There's a lot of moving parts, and yeah, people get paid off, and people take campaign contributions for favors, and sadly, that's the way things are done. And until they prove, like all this red light camera stuff and these other, people getting caught up for doing nefarious things with their campaign funds, laundering money, or, using it for home repairs. We've seen it a bunch of times. other than that, when it comes to, the taxpayer money, local levels is where it's stolen and cheated out of our pockets. And they put a simple vote to raise the tax levy for whatever reason. They're going to sign a new contract with this, street paving company, whatever. I mean, there's a million ways to skim money off the top. And ultimately, when we go to vote, this is why we need to pay attention. This is why these elected officials who govern over certain areas or towns or districts that don't even live, because most people I know, like I know where they live, like the neighbors know them, they've lived there for 12 years, whereas some of these people, they're never around.
Yeah.
They're always in the city of Chicago because they're doing business, or they're doing this or that, or and people need to start paying attention and get involved and tell their friends to get involved. And sadly, it does take up your time. I mean, people are working 2 and 3 jobs to make ends meet. They got families. They're trying to enjoy life. I mean, we live in America. We're supposed to have fun and enjoy it, right? Go out and play, go play, go play. So they keep us dumb enough to not pay attention in general. And sadly, that's why certain people get elected. There's local elections where people win by 40 votes, and those 40 votes could come from 3 houses. I've seen it. I've seen addresses with 13 registered active voters in them in a little ranch with a 2-bedroom house.
Well, it could be a lot of people living there. Trustee,
there could be. You're right. They're absolutely right.
Listen, I think Glenwood has.
I think we're talking about.
Go ahead.
Did you call my name, Trustee Winston?
Yes.
So I think we're talking about a couple of different things here. You're talking about municipal corruption. Now you're talking about individual politician corruption. Then you're talking about residents caring. So that's like, those should be in separate compartments. When you're talking about municipal corruption, don't we have independent auditors that come in and skim through the books and really comb through them to make sure that everything is on the up and up? And then you're talking about the individual politician who, may or may not act in good faith in an ethical way, who hold them accountable. Then you talk about another watchdog where you're saying that the residents need to get involved, and the residents are not going to get involved. First of all, their own lives are more complex than simplex, and they will tell you that I don't have time for that. Right. Until it knocks at their door. Yeah. Until it comes to their door, even though it's at their door peripherally, but until it actually knocks at their door, they're not going to get involved. So we're really, reaching here. We're really reaching.
So to your point, and I think that's partly why, in some ways, I'm okay with, if you have a felon and you're running for office, a local office, I'm in a lot of ways in agreement that you just should not be able to run for office. And not because I don't think that there's a road to redemption, but because I just don't think that the public has enough knowledge or awareness to make an educated decision. And I'm only really basing that on the fact that we no longer have outlets. Really, we don't have any way actually. We don't have any way of actually even. We don't have no newspapers. It used to be a time where you had local. You got the Southland Voice, right? What's that other one with the church guy, the pastor? What is that? The Christian Journal,
the Gospel Tribune,
the Gospel Tribune, which I don't even know what's in there. They keep doing the Men's Day Award. I'm like, well, how the hell are they picking these people? I mean, but in any event, there's really nothing. There's really not an outlet where you can even recognize. We're all in our silos, Trustee Matz. And I that's not a good thing. When I don't know, when Mr. Decker, when I mentioned to you, I don't know any of the trustees over there in Midlothian. That's not a good thing, right? We should, as an elected official, and I've been serving for a number of years, I can legitimately say, I don't know who the hell is in the Lothian, okay? And I'm saying, because we're all in our own individual silos, I think that puts us as a disadvantage in the public, where the public doesn't know who any of these individuals are. Larry Sapp, the young man who's over in Salt Village, okay? And I was trying to pull it up while we were talking. I was trying to pull this up. Larry Sapp, he was elected by the public, but because his political adversaries knew he had a felony, and of course, they only call it out, right? They only call, I know there was a trustee, alderman over in Harvey when Kellogg's was there. Kellogg's didn't have a problem with him having a felony long as he was on his side, right? But then when he was not on his side, then he used that to oust his adversaries, right? So
selective criticism.
Yes. So it's one of these things where there's not enough auditors, as you would say, because I've never even, Trustee Matt, you know of any auditors? Who are these people?
That audit people?
Or yeah, that audit. Okay, like when I ran for office back 2 years ago, when I was running for mayor, and I was kicked off of the ballot, there was no auditor that noticed that. That was my adversary pointing that out, that, oh, he has a fine and we're going to kick him off. We're going to use that as our advantage to remove him from the ballot. And
that's called opposition research.
That's it. So what I'm saying is, there's no auditor looking at candidates. I just don't believe that there's no auditor looking at if this candidate has a troubled background or not. So even with knowing that, should a person with a felony be in a local election with no eyes really be able to run?
I think we need to draw a line, first of all, between there's violent felonies and non-violent felonies.
Well, what if I'm a pedophile? What if I molested someone, right? And I'm not violent, right? Does that count?
I think all pedophiles need to go to an island somewhere and be isolated from the public. I mean, if we want to, just to be blunt and honest, there is no redemption for pedophilia. But but
you get my point. I mean, when you say you separate, I think that if you are classified as a felon, I think that is that enough, right? Does that, I mean, you can't dissect it, because then you would be playing which sin is greater. How do you do that?
Yeah, I guess that's a good, I mean, ultimately the way they draw the line is no felon can hold local political office, but the way that the law is written, I believe, is that they cannot be sworn in. So I look at it as, if somebody goes like a school board and gets elected by the people, and the people vote him in, and he gets sworn in, if it's found out that he's a felon, well, he's already sworn in, and then we need to look at who swore him in. Usually it's a clerk or some sort of official who, that's their responsibility to swear these people in. Like, that's what makes it official.
But it's a difference between swearing them in and validating their credibility. And I think that's where it boils down to.
A notary public has to make sure that document is properly filled out and everything is all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted before that notary puts their stamp on something.
But a notary is not going to say, "Hey, do you have a criminal background?"
No, but the clerk should. It's very easy nowadays with technology and the internet. You don't have to pay, for a full background check to find out if someone's a felon or not. It's very easy to do that research. So, I mean, here's my thing. Before anybody gets sworn in, there needs to be, like you said, an auditor, some sort of oversight, because who drops the ball? Who's responsible for that person being in office? The person who swore them in. I'm not looking to charge them, or I don't think that they should face criminal charges, but at the same time, if they're elected and sworn in, they should at least finish their term. And then their opponent, the next election, can figure it out. But the way that I've read the law is that maybe the swearing in is null and void. I don't know, but either
but
way.
how does but this is more importantly to me. Okay, so it's one thing not to allow people with felons or felonies to be able to run for office. How do we pick and choose who stays? Because I know of other situations where the person has a felon, and they may be an outstanding person today, right? But they have this trouble past, and they've been allowed to stay. Is it a matter of just having the right attorneys? Trustee Matt, is it just a matter of having a great attorney? Because how do some people with felons stay on and others get kicked off, like the guy Larry Sapp?
I have absolutely no idea on that point. I know last election, like 2 elections ago, I know a gentleman ran for Park Forest School Board, and he had a felon or was going to jail or something. He ran and he won, but he never took his seat. So it's like, how do you cherry pick?
That's what I'm saying.
What's a good felon, what's not a good felon?
Right.
Just how do you do that? And how do you give people the latitude and longitude to make it even more? Now, all of a sudden, will bankruptcy be a part of you not being able to run? Because now you're not fiscally sound because you filed bankruptcy. I mean, where does it stop growing?
Right. Well, and that's my thoughts. I think that if you're gonna say you can't be, and it says it in the election book. This is what drives me absolutely insane. It specifically says it in the election book. And now that's one of the things that have been that has been consistent is the election book specifically says you can't run for office if you have local office if you have a felony. And yet I still see people that run the gambit. They run for office and only to win. And like I said, for later on somebody to use that as a way to oust them off of the board. And I just think that if this is something that is, and maybe that's what needs to happen. Maybe Yarborough's office needs to do an audit on all of the candidates out there, right? And if you have a felon, just remove them quietly from office. I don't see how else it could be fair at all.
What if you beat up your wife? Should you run for office or be able to be reseated in that seat?
Well, so if you beat up your wife, okay, so if you beat up your wife and you're already in the seat, right? Do you, okay, well, I guess you have to have a trial period, right? So if you beat up your wife, have you been convicted of having a felony? Tell me the scenario. I mean, if you are in a domestic, like I know there was a judge recently that was in a domestic. He hasn't really been convicted of this thing, but he's being accused of it and he's going through the whole trial. So I think that's that area where he still has a window, right? But what I'm saying is, if you're in office and then you are convicted of a felony, should you have to relinquish your seat, or do you serve the rest of your term, but you can't be sworn in the next time? Like there needs to be a much more comprehensive look at this particular law. Because, and maybe this time is a timeline. Maybe if you had a felony and it was over 10 years ago, you know, it negates this law, right? But right now it just seems like somebody is picking winners and losers, and I guess for me, that's where I have a problem with, because I don't think that if one person can stay on and they have a felony, why shouldn't another? And that would be my question. And you know what? And that was done under Governor Rauner. That was one of the things that Governor Rauner, I don't even know what his logic was. I think that quite frankly, I just think that he needed some black people. Okay. I don't understand why and what he did at that time. Do you remember this, where he allowed the person to be sworn in, but he did not overturn their their conviction. Did you understand any of that, Trustee Matz?
I didn't do a deep dive into it, no. So I don't have an answer for that.
But do you remember the situation?
Yes, I remember the situation.
Okay.
And quite frankly, I was championing the situation. So because I know the person and I know the person's character, and there's an age factor too. Now you can become a felon when you're 17. You know what I'm saying? So do you punish a person forever?
Well, and I, again, that's where I think to Mr. Decker's point that as opposed to picking which felon is bad, that maybe there's a shelf life, right? If your felony is over 10 years old, then you can run for office, right? I think that would be a better window or better gauge. Yes, Trustee Decker.
Well, there is, even with it expunged, you still can't run. You need to get clemency. However, that process is actually fairly simple. You don't need a lawyer. You basically put together your paperwork, do some legwork, and send it to the parole board or the Illinois Prison Review Board. Every 3 months they have a hearing, and then they give the governor a recommendation. And I believe it's about 96% of what the board says. So if you can convince the board to basically wipe that clean, not expunge, not seal, actual clemency, meaning as if it never happened, you're good to go. You can have your Second Amendment rights restored, and you can run for local office. So if it's more than 10 years old, by then I would hope you started that process, or, you can get clemency and then you're good to go. And that's for any felony, and I kind of bit my own words as I was saying them, because I said violent versus nonviolent, but there's nonviolent felonies like fraud that I think as a local elected official, you probably shouldn't hold office if you've already been convicted of fraud. And right. I'm not, and maybe like you said, after 10 years, I'm all for second chances, except pedophiles. But second chances over a certain part of time, there doesn't need to be some sort of punch list, checklist of things you need to do. But I think most people with common sense can agree, if you were convicted of a felony for defending yourself in a bar fight and you messed the guy up worse than he messed you up, and somehow got battery charges for, felony battery charges 15 years ago, or when you were 21 and now you're 40, I think most people can look past that.
Well, does the voter, right? And I guess that's where I was going next. Does the voter, do they care, right? Like, I mean, what is your opinion, Trustee Matz? If you see someone, and I'm not just saying somebody that the individual you talked about, you kind of knew them, so you were rooting for them. What if you don't know the person, right? But you know or heard that they had a felon? Do you feel like, well, they shouldn't run? What's your thoughts on that?
Hold on, my clock is chiming. I can't turn it off.
Okay.
Swing it over to someone that I'm going to mute. It's going to be loud. Okay,
Mr. Decker, what's your thoughts? If a person is, they're not, you don't know them. Let's just say you don't know them, okay? But you hear that they've had a felony. When you don't know what the felony is about, does that make you a little less personalizing it, and you just feel like they should follow the law? And that's always been my critique. I don't think that you can be a lawmaker, and that's what you essentially are when you become a commissioner or whatever, a mayor or whatever. You are now swearing that you're going to follow the laws of the land, but then you're running for office by breaking the law, and like that makes no sense to me. Shouldn't you have to be legit?
So I'm back. So I follow several people who were felons, and what I mean by follow on Facebook, just their story and what they're doing now. Don't know them personally, but rooting for them to get into the game, to get into the political world. because they have answers. They have answers. So yeah, I believe everybody have a road to redemption. I'm with Jason on pedophiles. I don't think they have a place in this universe. So I have absolutely no empathy for them or any space for them to even breathe. But yeah, I can be objective when it comes to someone that I don't know that has a felon. And if I do any deep diving to see exactly what the felon is, okay, yeah, you can come in and join this circus called politics and make it right.
Does it make you nervous about people with some criminal backgrounds serving in the public office?
Oh my God. There's people serving in a public office that's making that office criminal. I mean, really, come on now. It's good people that start out good and end up bad because they see a loophole. They see it's just inherent in them. You know what I'm saying? I mean, if you're going to be a robber, it's in you to be a robber. If you're not going to be that, it's in you not to be that. You don't need a criminal background in order to create criminal behavior. So I think we kind of jumping the gun here with this conversation.
Yeah.
I'll just real quick. There's a lot of people that never got caught, too. You know.
But isn't that half of it, right? You're not a criminal if you don't get caught.
I don't believe in that. I don't say that, but I'm just saying if we look at people who, I mean, there's probably a good portion of people who have broken the law who are holding office right now, whether they were convicted or caught or arrested or charged or whatnot. So, I mean, ultimately, as she said, you know, you got to look at a person's character, and then you also look at the opponent too, because sometimes the opponent will throw that out there, or you know, when there's words said back and forth about each other. But ultimately, if you're a felon for doing something 12 years ago and you're still a little rough around the edges, but your opponent is just an all-around jerk and doesn't seem to care or be engaged or do, you know, what I mean, ultimately it's the voter's choice. If the voters choose the vote, wasn't there a guy, I think it was somewhere in Northwest Indiana, he was actually incarcerated when he won?
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, it's just, I mean, you need a couple shows to have all these conversations, because I mean there's a million ways to look at it, but ultimately, as she said, and I agree with her, you know, it comes down to the individual person and who they are today and the circumstances of which they were convicted of said felony.
Well, I'm more concerned. I know that there's nothing we can do about it. I know that there are people that are serving in this capacity, but I don't know. As of late, I just feel like there's much more gangsters in politics than ever been in the past. And maybe it's because I just wasn't in the space, and I am now. But it just seems like we just allow everyone and anyone in politics now. That's what it seems like. And I don't know if the old saying, outlaws are the ones who made the laws. Is that what we live by? Is that how it is? Jason, are you an outlaw? You trying to be a commissioner? I mean, maybe you have to almost be thug-like in order to win.
You definitely have to have thick skin, man. Today, I mean, it was, as I said, I'm literally having conversations with people, and I'm getting they're getting yelled at from other people 20 feet away in the middle of a set. You know, it's just like, come on. And I just laugh, and you know, I had a couple words said to me, and obviously I'm wearing my shirt, I got my papers, and they know who I am. You know,
and what are they saying? What are some of the things you're getting?
I got no business running. Don't you realize, you know, you're wasting your time?
Well, that's a lot of nerve.
Well, I mean, it's typical. I mean, I guess it could be worse. I'm not trying to be, you know, a crybaby about it or whatever. I'm just saying, like, you know, if if you're going to run and support, then run and support. But when you have to yell across the parking lot, it just shows insecurity. You know, my sign's getting stolen. There's a couple towns that specifically will pull mine, but leave other people's signs up. I don't know if you saw the couple Facebook posts about it, but you know, at the end of the day, I just kind of laugh. I mean, it sucks because I don't have piles of money being handed to me or teams of volunteers being assigned to me. So when I lose a couple signs, I mean, that sucks. You know, I mean, I'm not buying 500 signs at a time, so I'm not getting them for $3 a piece. You know, I'm paying $7 a sign. And so, I mean, you steal 3 or 4 signs, it's $30, you know, but it is what it is. I'm not one to be discouraged or frustrated. I just kind of laugh. And as my first time running, I am learning a little bit, but it's to be expected. And okay. I think I stood my ground pretty well and just smiled. I just, you know, kept being myself, and, you know, it is what it is. You know, like Deborah Sims telling me I'm going to get my ass whooped. Like, okay, that's like saying a 30-year-old's going to beat up a 15-year-old. Big deal. We all expect that. But now that 15-year-old gets a couple punches in, I'm going to turn some heads on November 8th. I'll tell you that. And I'm very
Deborah, Commissioner Sims told you that?
Yeah, I don't know if you saw the poster. I thought I mentioned, or was that? Oh no, I haven't been on your show since, and it was a truck show the week before at the Thornton Township Democratic Gala. I went up and told Monica Gordon good luck, and then I went to shake Deborah Sims' hand and tell her congratulations on her Lifetime Achievement Award that was given to her by the Thornton Township Democrats. And she kind of just stood there, and she asked me if I was there to announce me dropping out, and I said no. Why would I do that? And she leaned into me and she said, "You're going to get your ass whooped." And I laughed because I'm thinking this is like playful banter. You know, we're all around these other people at the gala.
What did she throw? Did she throw up a gang sign?
No, but I mean, she was very upset. And I'm like, okay, thanks for the I told her, thanks for the motivation. And I walked away just like that. It is what it is.
Trustee Matz, what do you got any thoughts on that?
Well, you know, my posture on how many people in the race, I think it's healthy to have more than 2 people in the race, because you give our residents deserve choices and options. I hear all the time 2 women in a race cancels the other woman. They only say that with Black women. I see white women in races all the time, and I hear none of that. None of that. And so, like I said before, my posture is the more the merrier. That means that you have to come up with solutions and a vision in order to present it to the public, our residents. They deserve the best that we have to bring them. And it's not a popularity contest. It is actually, what are we going to do for the people that entrust us to be in that seat to represent them? My thoughts.
Interesting.
Amen.
Right. Well, I agree. I think that if you want to run for the seat, I think that you should be able to run. I don't know what's this whole, and again, you know my take on it. I mean, a lot of times people are going to always find something wrong, and then if you clap back on them, they're going to make you the big bad wolf. I mean, believe me, I've learned my lessons over the years that if you even clap back, they're going to, oh my God, look at him. He hates women. Oh, he hates them all. You know, all of that gamesmanship, all of that it's just the way this thing is played, unfortunately. And I tell anybody who runs for office, the first thing that you need to understand is that the first rule, Mr. Decker, when you run for office, is there are no rules. And if you recognize that, then you will, I think, you'll get a lot further along, because if you're playing by the rules, you're going to lose. You're going to have to be that person that's willing to do what it takes in order to win. And I think that's to a fault. That's been part of my challenge. If you're just joining, welcome to TA Conversation. We are just having a casual conversation today. I was looking forward to maybe getting an expert here from Hazel Crest that was going to talk about the casino. I wanted to talk about the casino. I don't know if you've driven down Halstead in that area, but I can see it. Look, I see people walking down the streets with bags and stuff like that. Actually, I'm like, where the hell are these people going? I don't see any bus, but I see them walking in that direction. That corner is going to be something as that casino continues to take shape. That casino is taking shape, and it's doing. They're doing it real low key. I don't know if you've noticed it, Jason, but if you ride by there, they're working. It's almost like you don't notice it if you don't really look. You may not even notice, but there's work being done over in that particular area. What do you think? What do you think about that space over there?
I mean, as I said about the development on the golf course, I mean, it's congested already. I'm all for revenue and giving people the choice to gamble. Like, I've never been against gambling. I mean, people, it's their money, they earned it. They lose some out of their every check anyway to taxes, and we got to live. But with what's left of your money, if you want to gamble it, I never understood why it was illegal to gamble in the first place. I really don't. I mean, I wish somebody could logically explain why there were laws against gambling, other than the people who running the gambling establishment were loading up money, and basically what they had to do is figure out how to make sure the government gets their piece of it, to make sure it's regulated and taxed, and but ultimately I look at traffic and the wear and tear on the roads. I think nowadays there's casinos in every direction, so using it as a hub to bring people to your community or your town, you really got to be competitive. You got to make sure you have the state of the art, the classiest, cleanest, loose tables, loose machines, or whatever it is. You're going to lure people because the competition is getting up there. But again, I come back to traffic. That whole corridor, Halstead and I-80, 94, 394, I mean, it's a mess.
Yeah, but you know what? I don't know. In some ways, I'm excited, and
No.
I'm not a gambler, but I do think that this particular corner is going to. I see it. I see that hotel being built. I see just cars and commerce. I don't know if that's going to spill out into neighboring communities. I mean, I guess the hope is that it does. But I can totally see that area really just being, even down Halstead going into the Harvey. I've given Harvey a lot of crap, but looking at that side of the street, where my hope is that somebody comes and develops some of that over there.
North of 80 definitely needs some development.
They need some TLC bad.
But they need a big hug.
They need a major hug, and hopefully we get some other stuff in that area that isn't just tire shops and rim places and so on and so forth, but we actually get some other things.
I'm watching that election for 23 real close over there.
So what do you think? I mean, so over there in Harvey, and there's a couple of good races going on. I think Park Forest, their mayors, not every community's mayor is up for grabs. I'm up for grabs, guys. So if you're in Glenwood, you're going to need to sign my petition, because I will be running for office again, and hopefully successfully running for office again.
You're up in 23?
Yeah, I'm up. My trustee seat is up in 23, but so my intent is to run again. So make sure that you tell your friends to sign my petition. Reach out. I have to say this because it's and I appreciate the show. I really do, and I love the kind of attention that we're getting all over the Southland area. Like today, it's kind of an intimate setting. However, the number of people that watch our show on a week-to-week basis is just unbelievable. And then the number of people that are on the show when it's something that's important, like last week's topic, is also encouraging. But we're doing our turkey and toys. Turkey and toy drive. If you know, turkeys this year are going to be high as all get out, if there isn't a shortage. But in any event, I always do give out turkey and turkey dinners. And then I always play Santa Claus and I give out toys. Every year I do this. This year I want to get a jump on it. So if you want to make or help to, if you want to support a family, I could use the help. Turkey and toys. Make sure that you reach out to me or send your donation. Make sure you put in the subject line turkey and toys or turkey toys, so that I know where that money goes. You just use my phone number if you don't have my phone number. But I'm looking this year to support at least 80 families with turkeys. And of course, I stand out there in my Santa suit on Christmas Eve, a couple of days before Christmas Eve, and we bless the community with toys and so on and so forth. So turkey and toys, donate to Trustee Adam Winston if you want to support his turkey and toys. What are you doing for trick or treat? Anybody doing any? Well, I know what you're doing, Mr. Decker. You're gonna put on your costume and you're gonna play like a politician, and you're gonna be standing out in front of those poles.
I actually got invited to there was a woman outside. I went to Matson, even though it was outside the district because it is, South Suburban. Anybody can vote there. And there was a woman out there. I guess she's from, I don't remember her name. I got her flyer. She's doing a Halloween party. And I told her, I said, it's Halloween. It's trick or treat. I got 2 young kids. And she's like, well, maybe after, because it goes till 10 and you got to come dressed as a politician. And I said, well, then I need a costume because I am not a politician. I can't come dressed as myself. I gotta have to come up with a costume. But it seems she's trying to get, Libertarian, Green Party, Republican, Democrat is basically like it's a political mixer. She wants as many candidates can come, I guess. Debbie Myers Martin was there and she was talking to her and she came back and said, Debbie's going to come and this person's going to come. And, she's like, come on out. So I might go, maybe once the kids go to bed on Halloween, but,
well,
yeah.
Let me just tell you something. Don't get tricked while you're trying to pick up a couple of treats at one of those politician Halloween parties. That would be a scary time for certain if I were to attend, because first thing, don't have on no mask when you're out there with me. I need to know who you are. If you Debbie, I don't want to see no mask. If you are one of these other, and whatever, don't drink this Kool-Aid. It's definitely spiked, especially if you are running against somebody that they like. Don't drink the Kool-Aid, okay?
So I bring my own water bottle everywhere.
Bring your own water bottle. Trustee Matz, anything going on in Olympia Fields? I noticed today that there was a line wrapped around the corner over there at that little park over there, little forest preserve spot. What's going on in Olympia Fields? Did I miss something?
Today, a line, what forest preserve spot? We don't have a forest preserve in Olympia Fields.
Yeah, it's right there on, what is that, Joe Road and Western?
Oh, so that's our Iron Oaks. So Iron Oaks is a rental where people come and they do challenges. You have corporations come over there, rock climb, all that stuff. So that could be a narrative of anything. So I'm not sure. We just had our trick or treat this past Saturday at Sergeant Means Park from 10 to 3. We had vendors out there. Kids were able to come and trick or treat and candy and everything. So I think that's the extent of that in Olympia Fields. We're geriatric over here. We preempting it. We putting the kids all in one joint, and you come and get your candy. Now, we don't want to see you on the 31st, the Monday, because here's all your candy right here. So,
well, you guys probably would have less of that anyway, because unlike our community, you guys don't have sidewalks.
Well, you'll be surprised at all the parents that drive in here to get we have good candy when we were passing it out. Whole candy bars, full size, because we're old, so we're not mucking around with that little baby bag.
So no caramel squares over there, huh?
No. And what is that other candy corn? That garbage.
Yeah, candy corn is the absolute devil. And when I hear about the number of people who actually want candy corn, I'm like, you must have really had a horrible childhood.
Yes.
Who eats candy corn?
Well, it was a childhood mixture, candy corn and peanuts. You put the two together and you got a mouthful
cavities.
Of garbage.
You got cavities. I mean, that's what you got, because candy corns reminded me, I just never understood the candy corn craze. I don't understand it. Personally, I don't understand any of it because I don't like cheap chocolate, so I don't eat any of those mounds and all those stuff. But if you want to get me something, make sure that it's some nice chocolate from what is that area that I like? That Danish place. Yeah, I like the chocolate. Okay.
So no Fannie Mae for you, huh?
I'll do the Fannie Mae if it's the Pixies or Pixels, whatever you call those things, the little Pixies.
Dixie.
But you don't know the Fannie Mae. I don't even know how the hell the place stays open. I never see anybody in the joint all year long. Then Mother's Day come up. I guess they make enough money off of y'all mothers on Mother's Day that it covers them for the whole year. But I don't eat the Snickers bars. That candy is horrible. But if you got some Godiva chocolate, I'm your man. Holla at me, okay? But so I'm thinking that this year, this will be my first year over in this neck of the woods. That in Glenwood, in this part of Glenwood, will be given. Well, at least my house. Even though that kid, the little pumpkin snatcher, I'm going to make certain that he gets this rotten pumpkin. But the rest of the kids, I will be giving out full size candy bars, and they will be moms because they won't get Godiva chocolates over here at this house. Okay? So that all stays with me. But I'm looking forward to it because this will be the first year over here in the Estates. So I think over here, I don't know. It just seems like over here in the Homewood side, people seem to do things a little bit different, and I don't want to beat them. I'm just going to join them. The other thing too, if you didn't get a chance to see the presentation, I know early voting started today. I know that we've had District 153 on this show. I don't know, Mr. Decker, if you were on the show when District 153 was on here, or Cassandra, I don't know if you were on there here, but there is a levy that's being passed, a 20-year levy. One time you vote in favor of it, the levy will be right there with you for 20 whole years. So they actually did, before we started Tea and Conversation tonight, they had a virtual meeting where they were taking questions that people had about the levy. So what they did say is that if you have a house that's valued at $150,000, so if your house is valued at $150,000, you will pay approximately about $480 extra per year. Is that a lot of money, Cassandra?
That will take somebody under. That would totally take someone under for the next 20 years. You don't know what's going to happen. We didn't know COVID was going to hit, right?
Yeah.
So if you had an extra $400 and COVID hit, your home was going up for sale. I mean, that's just unbelievable. And then I was on trustee, then when they were trying to sell it to the public, they failed to mention that it was for the next 20 years. They made it seem as if it was for the following, in 2 years, when the old levy expire, this one will kick in now, and in 2 years the old one expire. Then you'll see a little reprieve from the old levy. You'll get some money back. I mean, it was just a bunch of tossed salad. If you wasn't listening closely, you'd be like, oh, okay, well, our kids need to play gym outside for, $100 million.
Well, they did say that. So in tonight's show, because I was on that show, and I appreciate them. They gave me the invite, so I did listen to it because I wanted to make certain that I didn't miss anything. And I've already got the rocks being thrown at me because they're like, "Well, Adam, we thought you supported it." Listen, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about a 20-year levy. First, for starters, if it was a 1 year or 2 year levy, I feel like that's one thing, right? To vote, and then you have to come back for more money. But to vote one time for 20 years is where I'm a little uncomfortable with. 20 years, a 20-year one-time vote. And in 20 years, my concern is that they're going to come back to the public and they're going to say, we haven't had a levy in 20 years. Well, you haven't voted on a levy in 20 years. Okay.
Exactly.
That's a big difference, right? So I just hope that an election started today, and please, I hope I don't get rocks thrown at me. No eggs, get off my porch. But no eggs thrown at the house about this. But I am a little taken back about just vote yes. That's all the signs say. Just vote yes to Homewood Schools, District 153. And to be honest with you, there has not been a levy for the schools that has not passed. So I don't anticipate this one not passing. But I also would expect more people to pay to ask more questions. And even the night show that they had, I think I saw 23 people on. There were some questions that came in, but you will get a little bit of a reprieve in 3 years. So you will get a little bit of a reprieve. And they said that your taxes will drop in 3 years, possibly by about $100 or so. But that's still 400. That's still $380 extra that you would have to contribute so that the kids and listen. So for starters, just in case somebody's listening to it, and I know they are, I'm not anti-supporting the schools. I want us to support the schools. So I really believe in supporting the schools, but I also believe in accountability. I do believe in accountability, and I'm very concerned about a one-time vote for 20 years. Mr. Decker, what's your thoughts on that?
I'm kind of with you. I mean, when you vote on something that's going to last 20 years, and then if I read your post, see, I didn't know. I'm actually working in Homewood last week. I'm doing a shower out there, and I saw the signs, and I thought maybe I should have known this, but I knew Homewood Flossmoor High School was combined. I thought maybe I saw the signs, Homewood yes, vote yes. I thought maybe they were trying to break free and just have their own. I thought maybe the not the high school, but the elementary school district was trying to separate or get their own district. But if I read your post, how it said, they won't have to ask for more for 20 years, but that's not to say they won't.
Well, and that's
what I mean? I mean,
yeah,
just to say we won't have to come to the public for more money. I mean, I'm sorry, I have a very hard time trusting the government. Okay.
Right.
I mean, when somebody says, you vote yes now, pay an extra, I think it breaks down to, if my math's correct, $40 a month, $480 over 12 months, if your house is valued at 150 grand. But I'm pretty sure the homes in Homewood are worth more than 150 grand.
And that's it. So I'm looking at like my house.
Is that even average?
Yeah, that's not, but they say that on average 150. So again, these are terms and words that are being thrown around.
So I have a quick question. To that point, to Jason's point about they probably going to have to ask for some more money later, because this is just a $2 million bond over 20 years. $2 million is like $200, really, and being realistic. Now, how much is it going to cost them to borrow that money? How much of the 2 million is it going to cost them over the 20 years to have borrowed that money? Because out here, we're about to get hit. Our school district have $105 million levy on us. $105 million. And I was told that it's going to cost the school district $55 million, over the time of having the $105 million. Now,
they're gonna borrow.
Yeah.
They're gonna pay 55. They're gonna pay 55 million to borrow 100 million.
105 million.
That seems somewhat wrong.
Well, one of the board members told me that. You would think you have the paperwork.
Well, and he probably knows, but it seems like there's something serious.
Can I just double check real quick if I heard you correctly? It's only a $2 million bond?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay, follow my math, because while you said that and I was doing a little math here, if it's a $2 million bond, $480 a year on average for a $150,000 house. Let's agree that the most houses are worth way more than 150 grand. But let's just say on that math, 2 million or $480 a year times 20 years is $9,600. So over those 20 years, one homeowner is going to pay $9,600 more. Okay. 2 million divided by 9,600, that's only 208 homes. There's more than 200 homes in Homewood. I mean, are they not? I mean, I don't know how to do the math on that as far as like the interest or the cost of, like, that's just, I mean.
They probably taken into account what I just said. What does it cost to borrow $2 million?
Yeah. over 20 years.
And on top of that,
Yeah.
it's only Homewood. So it's not, this is not Flossmoor. This is only it's not all of Glenwood. So like on the side that I live on, I would be one of the people who would be voting on this thing because I live in that particular district, in that school district. Like I couldn't run for District 167 on the school board based on where I live now. But so it could be just this section of Homewood where they attend. Parker, what are the three schools? Parker, Winston, what is it? Churchill, and one other school. So it's only the three schools. So whoever is living in those three areas, that's the area or attends those schools. Those are the three schools that would be paying the tax. Now, so I always tell people this: the solutions are always in the questions that we ask. And many times when these individuals are on platforms like this, or like tonight where they did a virtual conversation, the questions, the right questions aren't being asked, right? And I think that, I mean, how do you get away from this demonization that you don't support the schools if you just think that this is a bad deal? How do you get away from that, Trustee Matz?
By, like you said, asking questions. Now they are deflecting, because if your viewpoint isn't the same as theirs, now they want to create a narrative around you as being, the parent who don't care about your student or any other student. No, I care about all students. I care about if I can afford to send them to school by putting food on the table, clothes on their back, or paying for their shelter.
Or having a house, right? Because
or having a house. Yeah, exactly. So when people start deflecting like that, you have to be ready for it. You have to be ready with your comeback. You can't go home and say, oh, I should have said this. No, you got to be ready, because that's what they're going to do. They're going to try to paint a narrative, like you said.
Do we just, Mr. Decker, do we just support the schools? We just hold our nose and make this damn vote? Yes.
Adam, you know me better than that. You have to do your homework. You have to take the time. I know the trustee said, it's hard and people just don't have the time to do it. But sadly, people have to make time. I mean, these are the decisions that, things that are going on in some of these towns. I mean, they're going to last a generation or two. When I talk about everything with elected officials, with these votes that are given to the public, you could say I hate schools all you want, but if you're going to say that just by me asking questions, then I know it's too good to be true. When, as she said, when you have to deflect, when you have to paint a narrative that's not really there, or you have to, change just a deflection. If you can't sit and have real talk, right? Everybody says real talk, real talk, real talk. But simply, I get this all the time, just by asking questions, people get pissed off. And it's like, I'm not making a statement. I've been told that you're not asking a question, you're making a statement. No, I'm asking a question. I would like to know what your answer is to this question. And if people are going to deflect, then I'm going to be suspect. It's suspect right off the bat. And now I'm going to make that time to do my research.
Well, hopefully people do their research. Today is the first day of early voting, guys. Here in Glenwood, we have no meeting. So there's no meeting tomorrow. There's no flat tax on Wednesday. But early voting has started, so you can go ahead and get your vote on. And one of the things that you're voting on this time is a levy that's being passed in District 153, and there are a number of candidates that are running judicially. A ton of people that are running for state seats, commissioner seats. So do your homework before you go to the polls.
Can we not forget about the judges? They're
the judges,
the last man on the totem pole. Is about 60 being retained. Let's not forget about that. Let's not skip that whole section. I know they're not important until you're standing before them.
No,
what
they're
do we
very
need to
important.
say? What do we need to say about these judges? Because is it going to be like every other time, Trustee Match, where we go in there and we don't even know who the hell half these people are?
Exactly. We go in there and we be eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Once again, this is about doing your homework. I just put out there that there will be 60 judges. On Trustee Winston's page, you can come onto his page and he will have all the judges' names up, which will give you enough time to go and at least read their bio, or at least read what type of cases that they've been presiding over. It is very, very important that that you make the right selection and see if they're worthy of being retained. They
And
just don't get a yes.
if I can, just to people that are watching and people that are watching want to tell their friends, not voting, yes or no, is a yes vote. So if there's judges on there, I had this discussion on yesterday, if you leave, if you don't pick, some people don't vote for judges, they just leave it blank. But there are some judges that don't deserve to be retained. So do your research, and that's my personal opinion. But if you don't vote no, then it's if you leave it unchecked, it's a yes vote.
Well, you know what, and we probably next week, maybe what we should do is spend some time going through that list and really dissect that judicial list, because I honestly, and I pride myself on knowing a lot about the judges because I just follow them and I do my work, right? But I have to tell you that it is difficult to know all of the judges. It's like they should have their own race. I'm just going to be honest with you.
Well,
I feel like then they just throw those judges on the ballot. It's like, do they even want you to know who they are?
And there's people out there that are literally pushing to vote yes on all of them. Just blindly vote yes on all of them. Vote yes on all. I've heard it a bunch of times. Once was at the gala over at Thornton Township. It was vote yes on all of them. And it's like, that's the problem. No, don't vote yes on. I mean, just to say yes, all of them. Come on.
I don't know. I don't know how you do that. But again, I think that it's kind of like taking a test that you're unprepared for. You just choose A. Choose A.
So just to jump in there, I think the judges that are up for retention is a easier research because now they have 6 years of history, right?
Absolutely.
That's an easier than the ones who are lawyers running for a judgeship. Now that's all over the place. I mean, you really can't, that's a popularity contest. But the ones that are up for retention, you can kind of like, I mean, it's 60 of them. You can go through and see, what happened, what did they do, how did they preside over this case, and so on and so forth. But like I said before, that takes a little research, and it's not that the residents don't want to do it. They don't want to take the time to do it. They will say all the time that I'm busy. Yeah, I'm too busy for that. But the minute you come and you ask for a chance to represent them just by getting on the ballot, they say, oh, let me do my research before I sign your petition. What kind of research you doing before? You just giving me an opportunity.
And you know what? That's so interesting. That is so interesting. But you're absolutely right. You're trying to get just a name on the ballot. People talking about they want to do their research.
They want to do their research,
but they don't know none of the judges.
Yeah, exactly. And and to explain it to them, it's not that you're voting for me. You give me an opportunity to win your vote. Now my work begins, right? So so now even with the judges, they can't say anything. All they can do is wave and say, hey, I'd like for you to retain me. I was a judge presiding over divorce court or over criminal court or traffic, and even the ones who are running for judge, and it got a little dirty this last primary, which I hadn't seen before, where some judges some people who wanted to be judge were pretty much almost fisticuff with each other. I'm like, what did we do that at? When do we start posting up like that? But it's really a popularity contest for the judges. Either you like the way they comb their hair or how they got curls around their robe. I mean, that's all it is.
Or how fancy their yard sign is.
Yeah.
Well, well, we definitely need to do, and you're absolutely right, to even understand all of the different judges that are on here. I think in my area, I think this is the 15th sub-circuit. I think this is I think that there's only one judicial candidate that's being retained, and I've gone here. I'm looking to see who are my judges. So that's what I'm looking for while we were doing this. And of course, even the State Board of Elections website is a pain in my.
So I videotaped, and I hope that I can transfer it to your website, because it's about 8 minutes long. We had about 13 judges come to my church this Sunday. It was Judge Day. We had 13 of them come who are in our area, in this area. They were selected because they represent the Southland. And then you had Justice Tim Evans was there. He's up too, believe it or not. He is over everybody. He's up. And he gave an introduction to each and every one of them. So I would love to have that put up on your website where people can actually hear and see the faces of at least that 13 that affects the Southland.
Yes. And what did he say? So what did Judge Evans, I would have loved to have heard him speak. What was some of the things that he shared?
Well, basically, he just talked about, each one of them and what they preside over, right? And that's how he introduced them. And he kind of bantered a little bit with the audience, saying, I know nobody in here is going through a divorce. And then he segued into introducing that person, or someone in criminal court. And then he segued and introduced that person. And then you had, Judge Lindsey Jones, which used to be the mayor of Olympia Fields. Now he's a judge. He kind of gave you that commentary, right? And it was a nice flow without giving you the entire bio, because he only had about 10 minutes of the church time to do that. And that was something that we probably wouldn't have gotten on a regular, just being regular people out here. We wouldn't have heard that, but it just made sense how he introduced each and every one. And I hope that I can transfer that off of my phone onto your site where people can actually see these judges.
Yes, and if you can't transfer it, just email it to me, and I will.
I can't email; it's too large.
Too long. No, you know what you can do is upload it. If you have a YouTube channel, you can upload it to YouTube, and then just share the link.
Oh, nice.
That'll work too, because if you could share it to YouTube, you can share it with me. So I actually have I actually found all of these different. Yeah, this is way too much.
Yeah, 60 in the class of retention.
Yep.
Way too much. So, but in any event, we probably should spend a little bit more time to make certain that people at least do their homework a little bit when it comes to those judges. All right. Well, it is 8:17. Mr. Decker, any closing remarks? I know you were on the campaign trail, so I want to respect your time. Any closing remarks?
Vote responsibly. I mean, like you said, early voting started today, and hopefully people are doing research. I know typically we are voting party lines. Most people, especially in this area, just vote a straight ticket, but I highly encourage people to do some research. We do have a third choice in a lot of these races, statewide and countywide. So you're not stuck with a two-party choice. You do have a third choice, and I definitely stand by my fellow libertarian candidates as good, hardworking, honest people who definitely want to do their part in a positive way for the people. Ultimately, that's what we all stand for, is the people and individual rights, property rights, civil rights, individual freedoms. And me, for myself, I mean, if you really know me and take the time to get to know me, I am for the people, 100%. I got no interest for anybody else other than the people, and I want to do the right thing. So But ultimately, I'm not telling people to vote for me. I've yet to tell anybody to vote for me. I ask people to consider voting for me, please. So, but however you vote, whatever district you live in, do your homework, do your research, because these are the people that are asking you to hire them. They want to work for us. Let's make sure they work for us. You know, get on them.
Well, why not ask them to vote for you? Like, why not?
Well, because I give people information for their consideration. If I tell people just what to do, I don't like being told what to do. When somebody says, "Hey, you should vote for this person," the first thing I say is why. Tell me why I should vote for them, and then I'll consider it. If that makes sense.
Makes sense to me. So we're looking at. I pulled up water reclamation. You got 3 people that are coming up. You got board president. We got 3 people on the board. So we actually got a libertarian that's running for board president. We got 3 people running for the clerk seat. Trustee Matt, did you know that?
For Karen Yarbrough's seat?
Yeah, we got Karen Yarbrough, Tony Persia, and Joseph. You probably know this one. Joseph. How do you pronounce his last name?
Schreiner, Joe Schreiner.
Joseph Schreiner. You have under the sheriff. You got 3 people. You got Lupe Inquire. You got Brad. Well, I know Brad. I love Brad. Where's Brad at? He's been low key.
He had his guy that works with him with the sheriffs out at West Pullman Library. I pulled up and I saw a Scott Schluter for governor sign and a Vote Libertarian sign, and I thought, I didn't put that there. And then I saw a guy, Brad Sandifer for sheriff shirt on, and I'm like, hey, you were here with Brad? He's like, yeah.
Actually, it was Cassandra. Did you get a chance to meet Brad?
No, I didn't.
Oh, you would have loved him. You would have fucking loved him. Okay.
No.
You may not have loved him, but you would have loved him. But so you got under the treasurer's office, you got Maria Pappas, you got Peter, and then you got Michael Murphy. He's a libertarian. Libertarians came out big this time. Under assessor's office, Fritz is actually running against a libertarian as well.
One-on-one, Nico. Yeah.
So you have Donna
Actually,
Miller.
I like Nico. Nico. He said he has $250 in his campaign fund.
He has $250.
$250 in his campaign fund, and he was giving out business cards that he made himself off of that Ventura or Victor or whatever that app is. I mean, he's hilarious, but he kind of looks like smart. David off of Curb Your Enthusiasm. Kind of reminds me of him.
So are we going with Nico?
We're going with Nico, of course. Nobody's going to go with Fitz. Well, hell, have you gotten your second installment of taxes?
Hell
I'm paying some crazy money right now because my mortgage company is guesstimating on what the hell my taxes. How you going to guesstimate on what my taxes are going to be in the future?
So guess what? Trustee Max?
What?
Guess who's my commissioner?
Monica.
Hell no.
Who's your commissioner?
My commissioner is Donna Miller.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. I will publicly say she is amazing.
Yes. Yep. Well, Donna Miller, I wish I had known that she would remember. I was trying to figure out who's my commissioner because about me moving from the other side of Glenwood to this side, I thought I was in the Deborah Sims seat. So Jason, I can't vote for you.
That's okay.
But Donna Miller is actually, and we need to get her on the show. I wish I had known. But Donna Miller is my commissioner. She's running against a Republican, Anna. I can't. Why all the damn Republicans and the Libertarians got these messed up names, Jason? Why they can't have Jason Decker names? Why they got to have Bezikia, whatever? I don't know how the hell to pronounce this. But in any event, Donna Miller is my commissioner.
Donna says what she means and means what she says.
Yes, no,
she
has been
quite helpful with resources and everything. So Donna, she got in that seat and she made a difference. You know, she showed you that she's for the Southland. She wasn't just for, speaking words. She actually bringing resources back out here to us because we were forgotten Tonia, right?
Right.
They forgot we even existed out here. We were dried up. And so, yeah, I don't see her having a problem, but of course, you run your race like it's your last.
Right. Well, Donna Miller is running against Anna. Larry Rogers never has any competition.
No. Well, he's kind of a saint.
I just want to say one more thing about Donna Miller. You can email her and just say, I have questions. Don't be specific. Just say, hey, I had some questions. I was wondering if you'd give me a call, and you put your phone number. She will call you. Not a secretary, not an aide, not a boilerplate response back about please direct your specific question, like other elected officials. She will call you. She will talk to you on the phone. She's done it to me twice. She's personable. She's personable. She's approachable. Yeah. She's great. I mean, that's if I was in the 6th district, I would not be running against Donna Miller because I would be supporting her. Even as a libertarian, we're allowed to do that.
Right.
So listen, most of your judges,
and I can ask questions where I need to or give criticism where that's due. But either way, Donna Miller's great. Yes.
So most of your judges so far, Trustee Matz, and all of these judges are. Unless you're talking about the appellate first district, the appellate court first district, everybody else is running. You only can vote for one. But in the appellate court district, first district, now you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you got Nathaniel House. Isn't he the one who ran against my friend?
You talking about down there for the Supreme Court?
This is the
yeah.
So you got House, you got Maureen Connors, you got Terrence Levin, you got James Fitzgerald Smith, you got Jesse Rares. Who do we go with?
Oh, House.
We go with House?
Yeah, we go with House.
I thought House was the devil.
No, he just ran against everybody. I mean, everybody had an opportunity to run for the Supreme Court, right?
Okay. So here, for Tim Evans, you got Sophia Hall, Tim Evans, Charles Burns, John Kirby, Leroy Martin Jr.
Tim Evans.
I know that's who we're supposed to pick. You got Thomas J. We got Thomas J. Kelly. You got Patrick Murphy. You got Thaddeus Wilson. You got a lot of damn people running for Tim Evans' seat. Oh my God! In Tim Evans' seat, you have. It has to be 20 people running in this race. It literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
And you're only voting for one?
Yep, 10, 11, 12, 13. Renee Jackson is running for Tim Evans' seat.
See, you're not reading that right. You're not reading that right. No, these are all people up for retention, dude. They all up for retention. They ain't running for his seat. You got to vote yes or no to keep them in the seat.
Okay, it says retention. Vote for no more than one.
No. That must be a misprint or something.
I'm going to share my screen.
Okay, share your screen.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen.
All right.
Because
Renee is over Judge Jackson. Let me stop because you got me disrespecting people because you said it.
Are you looking here?
Your Honor, Jackson is over in domestic.
I understand. So, okay. So all I'm saying, do you see my screen?
I see your screen. What am I looking at? Which one?
Judge Cook County Judicial Circuit. Retention. Vote for one. Do you see this?
Yeah, I see that.
Now, these are all the people that you got to choose between.
No, that's got to be wrong.
That's wrong.
Maybe it means vote for one. Vote yes or no.
It's because, Adam, when you go to the polls and vote, because I did it today, you vote for one because each one of those lines is going to have a choice, yes or no. So you can't choose yes and no. That's how.
Oh, so you're saying
yes and no? You see the yes and no, Adam? Right there.
Okay, so wait a minute. So I'm not choosing one person out of this one.
No.
Okay,
This is all.
Listen, this can be confusing for somebody.
Okay, I got you.
Okay, I mean, can you see where it says?
Yeah, I saw it says vote for one, but over here it's yes or no. Remember we talked about yes or no.
Yes. So you would just go down. You would just go down and say yes, 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 yes.
Exactly.
And that's what we're doing.
No, that's not what we're. Well, yeah, that's what we're doing.
Jason, is that what we did, Jason?
That is not what I did, no.
Okay.
I haven't voted yet.
I haven't voted yet either, but I don't know if we need to be going straight down the line.
Well, we're giving people choices and options. You know, you handing it to them, letting them know that this is important. I mean, you know, either you can put up your choices, you can do your own palm card on your page, Adam. That's what I recommend.
Yes.
If you are an aspiring politician, so you have to be a leader.
What are we doing with this? What are we doing with this forest preserve thing, Jason?
What did I do? I think I voted yes, because as much as I'm a libertarian and not for, you know, give me the forest preserve again.
Forest Preserve District of Cook County, Illinois, clean air, clean water. Of course, they throw those terms in there. And wildlife habitat protection, 1 year limiting rate increase.
Yeah, I voted yes on that. And some people may give me crap because, you know, as a libertarian, I'm supposed to never vote for anything about taxes, but I am an environmentalist and I believe in green spaces. And I wholeheartedly love the fact that we have forest preserves in Cook County, and I frequent them often. I bring my kids all the time. If you follow me on Facebook, you see pictures all summer long, and sometimes even in the wintertime. We go to the forest preserves and go hiking in the winter.
What about this proposed amendment to the 1970 Illinois Constitution? Explanation of amendment. The proposed amendment would add a new section to the Bill of Rights article of the Illinois Constitution that would guarantee workers the fundamental right to organize and to bargain collectively and to negotiate wages, hours, and conditions, and to promote their economic welfare and safety at work. What is this?
Isn't that union?
That sounds like, are we voting for union? Who do we know that can explain this one to us, Cassandra?
Who do we know?
Yes.
Google.
Anthony DeLuca.
Google. Siri. Why don't you ask Siri to explain that? See what she says.
Well, okay. So these are the three. Okay. These are the three. Okay. And again, these are these things where nobody asks any questions and you just go to the polls and you just like, I don't know. Yes. No.
No, they skip it.
Or they just flat out skip it. Yep. So I don't know. I mean, these are where stuff gets lost in the sauce because we really don't know. Most people don't know, or they don't ask enough questions. So, but in any event, I guess that we got much more work to do, and it ain't gonna happen tonight. So, hey, Cassandra, any closing words?
Yeah, we talked a lot about levies tonight, the impact of what that would do. Even if it's $20 for the next 20 years, it could be a hardship on someone. If you really want a true, and I'm talking to the listening audience, if you really want a true fix on your property taxes that will affect your comfort of living and put more money back into the community, you have to tune in to our flat tax informational every first and third Wednesday of the month at 7 o'clock. That's every first and third Wednesday of the month at 7 o'clock. If you really want a true fix that will help our school systems, that will eliminate mandatory levies and make levies more of a initiative, or maybe we would want to do a levy. Not that we have to do a levy because we have a shortfall of funds. So that's every first and third Wednesday of the month Come and join us for our flat tax informational, where the real solution on reducing your property tax is being explained.
Okay. All right. And with that being said, this has been another excellent show at TN Conversation. I will see you here next Monday at 7 o'clock. We're going to dissect this ballot. There are some things that I probably should have spent a little bit more time on. Unfortunately, listen, I'm going to be honest. I didn't see my ballot until the day. I didn't even know who all was on it because of the fact that I had to re-register based on my new home address. And I'm glad I'm able to see it now. But we're going to go through this ballot. We're also going to get this writer. He was somebody that I saw at the last event. Cassandra, how much money was on that BZO card?
Oh, I'd spent it all, $25, and it was wonderful.
Well, you got one item at BZO's for 25. But in any event, we're going to get this Arthur here. It's Cops in Crisis. He has written a book. He is a police officer who now ministers, and he does a whole lot of stuff. He has an interesting story. He also wrote his own book. So he will be one of our guest artists. I'm looking forward to him coming on the show. But we also will be talking about this ballot, because this ballot does have quite a bit of judges on there. And I think that half of the battle is even understanding it. I'm looking at this thing and I'm like, well, it says no vote for no more than one, and it's 30 people on there. That's kind of probably the problem, right? If the ballot isn't really clearly spelled out, I consider myself to be a pretty savvy person, and I'm looking at that like so many others that I only can vote for one. Okay, that could be confusing when you go to the vote, but we'll go through it next week. But until then, have a good night, guys. This has been another TN Conversation. Have a good night.
Thank you, Adam. Thank
Bye-bye.
you, Trustee.